At 73, George Strait finally talks about Willie Nelson. George Strait was born George Harvey Strait Sr. on May 18, 1952, in a place called Potit, Texas, and grew up in the small town of Peole. Strait's simple beginnings helped make him real and honest, which would later make his career special. Growing up on his family's cow ranch, he learned to work hard and loved the country life. Both of these things made his music feel real and true, which millions of people loved. He first got interested in music when he was a teenager and started playing in a garage band with friends. But he really fell in love with country music when he heard traditional sounds from singers like Merle Haggard, George Jones, and Hank Williams. After finishing high school, Strait joined the United States Army in 1971, and they sent him to Hawaii. While he was a soldier, he started singing with an army band called Rambling Country. This gave him his first real chance to sing in front of live crowds. It was also when he was in the Army that he met Norma, his girlfriend from high school. The couple got married in 1971, and their strong marriage would become the most important thing in his life, giving him a steady base as he chased his dreams. After leaving the Army in 1975, Strait went to Southwest Texas State University, which is now called Texas State University. He got a degree in agriculture while still making music on the side. He became the main singer of a band called Ace in the Hole Band. They played at local honky-tonk bars and slowly got more and more fans. Strait's big break came in 1981 when he released his first single called Unwound. The song quickly became popular and announced that he had arrived on the country music scene. Unlike many singers of his time who mixed pop music with country, Strait kept the traditional honky-tonk sound. He used fiddles, steel guitars, and simple but powerful words. This choice to stay real connected with people who missed the classic country sound, and it made him a leader in the neo-traditionalist country movement of the 1980s. Over the years, he would make hit after hit, including songs that will never be forgotten like Amarillo by Morning, All My Exes Live in Texas, Oceanfront Property, and Check Yes or No. Throughout his career, George Strait has been more successful than almost any musician in any type of music. With more than 60 #1 hits on the Billboard country charts, he holds the record for the most chart-topping singles by any artist. He even beat legendary names like Elvis Presley and the Beatles in total chart success. His albums have sold over 100 million copies around the world, making him one of the best-selling artists of all time. He has also won countless awards, including multiple Country Music Association (CMA) awards, Academy of Country Music (ACM) awards, and a Grammy Award. When he was put into the Country Music Hall of Fame in 2006, it proved even more that he was a giant of country music. But beyond all the numbers, George Strait is loved for being consistent, humble, and graceful. Unlike many entertainers who chase what's popular, Strait never went too far from his roots, and his fans rewarded him with decades of loyalty. He rarely gave interviews or tried to get attention, choosing instead to let his music speak for itself. On stage, his quiet presence, usually dressed in jeans, a cowboy hat, and boots, showed he was real and quietly confident. This made audiences love him even more. His goodbye tour in 2013, called the Cowboy Rides Away Tour, broke attendance records across the country. It ended with a historic final show at AT&T Stadium in Arlington, Texas, where more than 100,000 fans came together to say goodbye. Strait's life has also been marked by being strong during tough times. He and Norma went through terrible sadness with the loss of their daughter Jennifer in a car accident in 1986. Out of respect for keeping things private, Strait chose to stop giving interviews after that heartbreaking event. But he continued to put his emotions into his music. To honor his daughter's memory, he and his family later started the Jennifer Lynn Strait Foundation, which helps children's charities in San Antonio, Texas. This act of kindness showed another side of his character, his quiet, giving nature and desire to help others. Even though he's mostly retired, George Strait is still a powerful presence in country music. He continues to make music sometimes, perform occasional shows, and inspire new generations of country artists. Many of today's stars, from Garth Brooks and Alan Jackson to Chris Stapleton and Luke Bryan, say he's a major influence. They admire him not only for his music, but also for his example of how to handle fame with honesty. George Strait's personal life has always shown the same sense of loyalty and deep family values that are in his music. In December 1971, he made a life-changing decision that showed how devoted he was to the woman who had won his heart. Strait eloped in Mexico with his high school sweetheart Norma. This choice showed both young spontaneity and the lasting love that would be the foundation of his life for decades to come. The couple had known each other since they were teenagers in Puyallup, Texas, and their romance had made it through the uncertainties of being young and Strait's early career goals. By getting married in such a personal and private way, Strait showed that despite his growing dreams in music, his foundation in life would always be family. The elopement became a cornerstone in his personal story, marking the beginning of a marriage that would last through victories, tragedies, and the pressures of fame. Just a year later, in 1972, George and Norma welcomed their first child, a daughter named Jennifer, who was born on October 6th. Becoming a father at a young age while he was still figuring out how to be a musician and serving in the U.S. Army gave Strait a sense of responsibility and purpose that would shape the rest of his life. Jennifer brought huge joy into the household, and she became a treasured part of George and Norma's journey together as they raised their family in Texas. Nearly 10 years later, in 1981, the couple grew their family again with the birth of their son, George Harvey Strait Jr., who everyone called Bubba. By then, Strait was beginning to find steady success in country music. But no matter how busy his schedule became, he stayed deeply committed to his role as a husband and father. Bubba's arrival completed the family unit and created a balance in Strait's life between the spotlight of country stardom and the comfort of home life. However, tragedy hit the Strait family in the summer of 1986 when their beloved daughter Jennifer was killed in a terrible car accident in San Marcos, Texas on June 25th. She was only 13 years old. The loss of Jennifer was a crushing blow that forever changed the family's lives. George and Norma went through the unimaginable pain of losing a child, and the sadness left a lasting mark on Strait's heart. Though he was known for keeping his personal feelings private, those close to him saw the deep grief he carried. The tragedy also changed his view of life and made the realness in his music even deeper, as fans often felt the sincerity and heartache behind many of his songs. Instead of letting their grief take over their lives, the Strait family chose to honor Jennifer's memory in a meaningful way. After she passed away, George and Norma started the Jennifer Lynn Strait Foundation, a charity organization dedicated to helping children's causes throughout the San Antonio area. The foundation became a living tribute to Jennifer's short but important life. Through donations and community help, it sent money toward children's charities, hospitals, and youth programs. This made sure that Jennifer's legacy was one of hope, compassion, and generosity. For George and Norma, the foundation gave them both a way to heal and a way to turn their personal tragedy into something positive that could help countless families. The foundation is still active today, showing the Strait family's deep commitment to giving back to the community that had supported them for so many years. Their son, George Harvey Strait Jr., or Bubba, grew up to follow a path that showed both the toughness of Texas tradition and the competitive spirit he got from his father. Bubba became deeply involved in the rodeo world, specifically as a team roping competitor with the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association, PRCA. His passion for roping showed the same discipline, never-give-up attitude, and toughness that had defined George's music career. Though Bubba pursued it in the arena rather than on stage, he also went to college, graduating from Texas A&M University, a respected school that further showed the Strait family's values of hard work and dedication. One of the most memorable moments of Bubba's rodeo career came in 2006, when George had the chance to sit in the stands and watch his son compete at the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo, one of the largest and most respected rodeo events in the nation. For Strait, it was a rare chance to step away from the spotlight of his own legendary music career and simply be proud of his son's achievements. Shortly after cheering Bubba on in the arena, George himself walked onto the stage at the same event to perform before thousands of fans. He smoothly blended his role as a proud father with his life as a country music icon. The moment captured the special bond between father and son, bringing together two different Texas traditions, rodeo and country music, into one unforgettable experience. For decades, fans of country music have admired George Strait for his quiet, private personality. Unlike many artists who often share their opinions publicly, Strait has always been known as a man of few words, letting his music and consistent career speak for him. But at 73 years old, the king of country finally decided it was time to open up about one of the genre's most legendary figures, Willie Nelson. Strait's voice carried the weight of wisdom, humility, and respect as he offered his long-awaited perspective on a man who not only helped shape country music, but also became a cultural icon. Willie has always been one of those artists who didn't just sing songs, he lived them, Strait began, his words carefully chosen. There's an honesty in his music that you can't fake. You hear him sing and you believe every word because you know he's lived that life. In this statement, Strait wasn't just talking about Nelson's catalog of hits. He was highlighting the raw realness that has made Willie Nelson beloved across generations. While many artists seek polished perfection, Nelson's charm has always come from his sincerity and storytelling, something Strait deeply admires. Strait continued, "He never tried to fit into a mold. Nashville had its own way of doing things, and Willie went his own way. That takes courage, and I respect him for it." With this remark, Strait acknowledged a truth that country historians often repeat. Willie Nelson was never one to bow to industry expectations. From leaving Nashville in the early 1970s to help pioneer the outlaw country movement in Texas, to his unconventional voice and phrasing that went against traditional norms, Nelson carved out a career by following his heart. Strait, who himself built a reputation on staying true to traditional country sounds, clearly saw Nelson as a kindred spirit in resisting unnecessary change and fighting for authenticity. Strait also spoke warmly about Nelson's role as a mentor and friend within the country music family. "Willie's always been there for other artists," Strait said. "If you were new in town or just needed a little encouragement, he'd take the time." That says a lot about his character. Coming from Strait, an artist who himself has been admired for his humility, these words were particularly meaningful. They showed that behind Nelson's fame, there has always been generosity, compassion, and a willingness to give back. Of course, Strait couldn't speak of Nelson without mentioning his influence on American culture. "When people think about Texas, they think about Willie," Strait reflected. "He's as much a part of this state as the land itself. He carries Texas with him wherever he goes." As two proud Texans who shaped the sound of modern country music, Strait's recognition of Nelson as a living symbol of their shared homeland was especially heartfelt. For Strait, Nelson wasn't just an artist. He was the embodiment of Texas pride, independence, and resilience. Finally, Strait concluded his remarks with a touch of personal reverence. "I've had the honor of sharing a stage with Willie, and every time I do, I'm reminded that I'm standing next to greatness. He's one of a kind, and we're lucky to have him." In that statement, Strait captured not only his admiration, but also the gratitude felt by millions of fans who continue to treasure Nelson's music. At 73, George Strait's words about Willie Nelson weren't just casual compliments. They were a heartfelt acknowledgement from one legend to another. Strait, a man who rarely indulges in public praise, made it clear that in his eyes, Willie Nelson is not only an icon of country music, but also a symbol of artistic integrity, generosity, and the unshakable spirit of Texas.